You are sitting on the throne in the city of Remagast, north of Hesperia. You've become the undisputed sovereign of nearly the entire nation. Despite some rebellions and uprisings, you even managed to subdue Balinor, the city of wizards. Now, your goal is to reach Satrapor, your former dwelling, where you were born and where everything first began. Memories start rushing through your head, tormenting you. You can barely recognize your parents' faces across the mist of the past. Remembering your mentors is much easier. Dargast, Raymond, and Hesperia, the witch. The latter warded you for a long time, and you owe her much more than just your life. She died for a greater cause, leaving your heart brimming with pain, even though you were only 6. The throne room is deserted. You threw out all the servants and guards so as to freely confer with your first ally, Ankalimo. As you're lost in thought, you notice the huge bronze doors opening from the corner of your eye. In walks a hairless figure with pointed ears, heading straight towards you along the granite hallway. Ankalimo's white skin contrasts remarkably against the jet-black columns rising to the ceiling. The elf kneels at your feet, silently waiting for your signal. You're late. Were you drinking at the tavern, or were you busy with a whore? You mockingly ask.
I was drinking whilst having my way with a whore, my lord,
he replies, an amused smirk coloring his face. You both burst into laughter, the mood momentarily lightened. You need to entrust several crucial tasks to Ankalimo, so it would be wise to figure out your priorities. The resistance is gathering south of Kael'sin and needs to be dealt with. It's being led by Raymond, a powerful magician that also happens to be your old mentor. In the meantime, you must also ready the army to take Satrapor. You need to collect supplies and choose trustworthy commanders, and will be marching until winter's end. To successfully achieve your goals of conquest and peace, you need to find a magical artifact. It once belonged to you, but has been lost for quite some time now. However, you might know where to start looking. You must choose. Recruit 2 trustworthy and reliable warriors. They should be clever captains and have a stainless reputation. We need soldiers that the whole army could blindly follow.
It shall be done, my lord.
I trust your abilities for this task. Without replying, Ankalimo stands up and beats a fist on his chest, taking his leave. As your henchman walks down the throne hall, taking his leave, you ponder on your plans. You think back on what pushed you to undertake this quest and how important it is to take back your city. You would rather have avoided putting Kael'sinar to fire and sword. Unfortunately though, too many wizards and old mentors are on your trail. To get here, you had to accept the reputation dealt by your opponents, carrying the burden of cruelties you never committed. Despite this, you discovered that instigating fear in others is often extremely useful. You have shrouded yourself in lies. Rumors serve you as a shield, and the anger within you is your favorite weapon. The door closes, bringing you back to the moment at hand. Now, you can take care of other matters just as important. You walk through the hallways, guarded by soldiers. They jump at your passage, respectfully saluting you. You don't waste your time on them. They're low-level soldiers, not wizards of your league. The hallway leading to your chamber is deserted and dimly lit, as always. You reach the threshold of your quarters when you hear a noise behind your back. Suddenly, you turn and are faced by a black-clothed figure. You can't tell whether it's a man or a woman, but it moves stealthily, lethally. Your opponent's size isn't particularly robust, but the assassin wields a knife in its right hand. You are barely an arm's length apart. The assassin wasn't expecting this reaction and is surprised as you take his arm, losing precious seconds. He was so confident that a wizard wouldn't be able to handle a close-quarter fight. Instead, he found Leon, the man who will make the whole of Kael'son tremble. Twisting his arm, you point the blade against your assassin, stabbing him in the groin. As you sever the artery, blood spurts everywhere, staining your clothes. The fight's noise catches the attention of the guards, and they rush to your aid. They arrive just in time to clean up the aftermath of the slaughter. You enter your room, fired up by what just happened. You'll have to rethink the whole deployment of guards throughout the palace. The rebels have managed to infiltrate, and you wonder about their plots. Their threat is real, and you need to annihilate them, showing them no mercy. You still have to wait for Ankalimo's return before deciding on what to do next, and it will take a while. You'll use this time to work on blood magic and organize your next campaign. You look out your room's window, breathe in the clean air of morning, and close your eyes. Now more than ever, blood magic can come to your aid. You take the medallion hanging by your neck, the one you retrieved from the tomb. 2 parts are already filled with blood, and 1 is still empty. You know what should be done, but not quite how. The instructions are kept in the book you took from Triumvir's tower. You go back to the bookstand in your bedroom. The time has come to find out how to become the most powerful wizard of all time. Your days are long and lonely, but you make good use of them. Being you isn't easy, always having to remember you hold many people's fates within your hands. Even though you haven't looked back once, it doesn't mean you've never thought of the consequences of your actions. You've already suffered for many of them. However, it's time to take a new path. It's time to move south. You walk through your palace, up to a wooden threshold, the entrance to the war room. As you enter, you're welcomed by a torch-lit hall and a large map hanging on the north wall. It depicts the continent of Hesperia, its cities marked by different badges. The center of the chamber is dominated by a massive table of carved wood adorned by the same symbols on the map. Hills, cities, and mountains are in relief. The war room allows you to visualize the terrain's structure, the roads the army will have to take, and the ones most appropriate for provisioning. Balinor, Snelfos, Ormalin, and Ranin are now under your command. They will supply you with anything your men might need. Despite unforeseen attacks by the rebels, you deem that the roads won't be hard to travel. The only question is whether to go through the Ismarin forest or to head for the Flumar Mountains, crossing the pass and conquering Alenbor, circumventing the forest, and going towards Satrapor. You plan to head straight through the forest. It might be a shortcut to Satrapor. Apparently, the rebels are gathered there. You could get rid of them and take back your old city with just one maneuver. Then, you could either leave the task of governing Kael'sonar up to someone else, or you could go on to conquer all of Hesperia. The idea is tempting, but it has a striking resemblance to Triumvar Lotanar's goal. This realization takes you back, grieving you. If it weren't for him, you would have spent your childhood with your parents, and your life would be completely different. You'd probably never have become a wizard. Although overthinking won't get you anywhere, your train of thought persuades you to improve your skills. You need to study the blood magic book further. Therefore, you head back to your quarters and sit at the desk. The volume has an odd leather binding, not unlike human flesh, but you'd rather not find out. You've already read most of the manual and managed to master every passage of it. Each facet that governs this magic, forbidden throughout all Balinor. The theory was easy enough to learn. It only took you a few years. Now, it's time to start practicing. You linger, on the parts that illustrate how to increase your power and intensify your skills. After all, magic comes from body heat, and blood is the vital catalyst which allows power to flow through one's body. You focus on one segment in particular. As explained in the previous chapters, blood is the vital source of every magic. Our body heat is due to the circulation of this fluid within us. Thanks to it, we can perform one or more enchantments, preserving our energy. Using blood magic means intensifying one's power. It makes us stronger and more stable while creating enchantments. The first time a sacrifice is required, the being we choose to kill must die by the hands of whomever wishes to gain such power, and the sacrifice must be performed through magical means. No result can be achieved through killing the creature in any other way. Its heart is needed. It shall be removed and eaten, raw and in full. This will bring about an important change in our body, and we shan't sacrifice any other creatures to conjure blood magic. The more powerful the creature we sacrifice, the more power we shall obtain. Our power will grow further if we acquire blood from other creatures as well. The following is a practical example of how to acquire blood magic. You browse through the following pages with piqued interest. There are several illustrations of wizards killing animals, absorbing their energy. Some human sacrifices are also pictured and narrated in minute detail. Finally, the book describes the effect produced by this magic on the body of the wizard who employs it. It seems painful, but worth it. There's nothing more you can do while waiting for your dragon to arrive. Besides, marching on Satrapur, the bond between your magic and the creature's feral power could spare the lives of many of your men. You look for your sacrificial victim. A warrior could be the perfect sacrifice. You might increase your strength and stamina as you create new spells. You don't even have to look far. The palace is filled with well-trained guards. You roam around the halls. Near the war room, you come across a group of guards. "How's the patrol going?" you ask with nonchalance.
Everything is quiet, my lord.
Good. You nod at them. Who among you has a good knowledge of the lands of Kael'Sanar?
I do, my lord.
The same soldier replies. You study the private to assure he fits your needs. He's wearing his uniform, a short chainmail, leather trousers, and a brown jerkin. Come with me to the war room. I need an opinion, and I can't wait for my advisors.
Yes, my lord.
He replies with ill-concealed surprise. The others follow you as well, but you have no need for them. Please, continue your patrol.
As you command, my lord.
Together with the chosen victim, you enter the war room. The relief map of Hesperia dominates the table and the tapestry on the wall. At first, the soldier is dumbfounded. Then, he talks to you, respectfully, but straight to the point.
I am surprised you need my advice, my lord. I am but a simple man. I just follow orders. How can I help you?
He's suspicious, and you could put him at ease. It'd be a calculated risk and would allow you to change your mind. Or you could attack him right away while he's off his guard. The torches light the room. It wouldn't take long to burn him to ashes. What's your name, boy?
Osman.
He replies, keeping a hand on his sword's pommel as an indifferent gesture. You see, Ossiman, serving me means taking up odd situations as well. My rank forces me to improvise from time to time, and now is precisely one such moment. The soldier grows wary. His hand is ready to grip the hilt of the blade. He figures something isn't right, You need to act now, even though you're a bit too close and you don't have your staff with you. You see, I'd like to move south to take back my city, Satrapur. I would like to go through the Ismaran forest. What do you think? Osiman loosens up, focusing on the map.
I think it'd be the best move. It's direct. In any case, though, the army should be ready for a long march.
I agree. Do you have other suggestions? He shakes his head.
If Satrapur is the goal, there is nothing more to be done, my lord.
As I thought. Thanks for your advice, Osiman. I must start making arrangements. The soldier believes you're dismissing him. He beats his fist to his chest as a military salute, bows slightly, and turns his back on you to leave. Now's your moment. You stretch your hand to one of the torches, conjuring a tongue of fire, which jumps at Osiman's head. He doesn't even have time to scream. His skin sizzles, and his brain explodes, spraying blood and gray matter all over the room. Without hesitating, you search the corpse. You find a knife and use it to cut the jerkin open and break the chainmail's rings. It's a hard endeavor, but you finally get the task done. The bare chest is ready for you to rip the man's heart out, still warm. You devour it as quickly as you can muster, even though it's sticky, and it grosses you out. Suddenly, 2 large bone spikes burst from the palms of your hands. You can barely contain a cry of pain. The spurs withdraw immediately, and you feel they're bound to your will. The pain subsides, and you recover. As you get back on your feet, you take stock of your conditions. You'll definitely be noticed. You conjure a water pillar to wash away the filth. Your muscles are strengthened and toned. You chose your sacrifice well. However, you have things to attend to. The room is a mess. You need to make up a convincing story. You call the guards and tell them a soldier tried to murder you. You had to save yourself. Who would ever question your story? You head back to your chambers. This revelation on blood magic suggests you could do so much more than simply taking Satrapur back. As you walk through the hallways of the palace, you think of your next move. You could study blood magic further and grow your powers to new limits, even though it'd take years and you'd have to give up on your aims of conquest. Or you could use this new knowledge and exploit it for your main goal. All the ups and downs you've been through so far have seriously tested your limits. You feel different. The new powers you've acquired are exciting. You are more powerful than Triumvar, but this awareness somewhat troubles you. Even though your intentions are noble, power is corrupting. The choices you'll make won't just determine your future. They'll affect you personally as well. Rest. You'll need it. Tomorrow will be a demanding day, and the matters at hand don't ever seem to stop. Your chamber is dark, and you're alone, like all other nights. You would like some female company. You could never establish an enduring relationship. Sleep seems like a quiet, sweet hideaway. However, it deceives you all too soon. You're restless, sweating. Dreams crowd your mind as you go back to your childhood. You're in Satrapur, in your parents' palace, the one you would like to take back. The walls echo with sounds from a fight. You try to run through the secret tunnels, but you're alone. There's no trace of your mentors, nobody to help you. Dogs bark behind you, chasing you. Their bloodshot eyes glow in the darkness, fangs ready to tear you to pieces. You keep running, breathless, turning at every corner to leave the growling and drooling beasts behind. You lose your sense of direction. Unable to see and panicked, you fall into a pit. It's not too deep. Luckily, you only bruise your cheekbone. This was odd. Normally, when you dream of falling, you wake up with a start. This should have been the case, yet here you are, chills running through your spine. You're the victim of a spell, and you can't help but wonder if it's a consequence of everything you've just been through. You look up, but there's only darkness. The dogs are gone, and the pit's brim, which didn't seem so far earlier, now towers above you. Suddenly, a wooden door appears, 2 torches lighting its knocker. You're still just a 6-year-old child in your dream, but your mind reasons as an adult. You could climb up and head back. The wall offers some footholds, or you could open the door and keep going. If magic is in fact influencing your dream as you think it is, any mistake in this ethereal world could be fatal. You're but a child. Such a climb is out of the question. Therefore, you open the door, ready to face whatever lies beyond it. You walk into a wide circular room, fully illuminated. A huge creature is waiting for you in the center. Even sitting, it must be some 10 feet high. You are charmed by its enormous power, yet it chills you to your very bones. How could you oppose such a being if it were to harm you? His body is the strangest thing you've ever seen. It embodies the semblances of many creatures which you could never identify at a glance. The chimera looks at you, smiling. He has an old man's head with thick, white hair and eyes azure as ice. His sharp teeth could tear anything to shreds. The right arm looks like a gorilla's, whereas his left arm is an elephant's trunk. The torso is plumed, not unlike an ostrich, and the legs are feline.
Welcome, Leon. I've been waiting for you.
He greets you with a deep voice.
Who are you?
It's the first time you hear your child's voice. It's exactly the one you had when you were 6. You can't hide your fear. It seeps through your scared boy's question.
Someone who has felt a quiver in magic. Today, your actions have perturbed the whole world. You encountered a superior being, and I need to verify you are indeed worthy.
The chimera replies.
Why? Magic is part of my world. I become strong enough to use it however I prefer, and I won't abide by anyone's authority.
You reply, angry. The creature smiles, showing yet again its fearful teeth.
There is always someone higher who needs to exercise control. I've been called the Devourer of Dreams, but many wizards have called me by different names.
You shiver once more. You heard rumors about this monster, but you didn't think he really existed. The creature doesn't belong to the physical world, merely to an ethereal one. It was created by superior beings to limit the magical abilities of mankind. Anyone who met him didn't live long enough to tell the tale. The only information you have about him are from Valinor, merely pieces of text you've never studied thoroughly. Despite this, you do remember it goes by another name as well.
Abomination.
Yes, I've been called that by some mortals too. However, I only exist thanks to you. Maybe I was given this name so that humans would feel less guilty. You wizards have committed terrible crimes.
Silence falls as you try to remember anything at all that could help you against this creature. He is one of the most dangerous beings on the magical plane. However huge and mighty, he doesn't rely on strength to destroy his victims. He's a guardian god, a supreme ruler of magical arts. Even though he acts through dreams, in his presence, the consequences fall on reality as well.
Did you bring me here?
Yes, I had to test you.
Can I refuse?
Do you see any doors to walk out? Or do you happen to know a way to wake up and never meet me again?
The abomination caustically replies, "You turn to the door you came in from, but only find a brick wall in its place."
Well then, what is this test about?
Your intelligence will be the key. Otherwise, I'll devour your flesh and your magic with it. The only thing that will be left of you in the world will be your memory.
You are in his realm with his rules. You take a deep breath and muster your courage.
Shall we begin?
The chimera bursts into a low, throaty laugh. You're so afraid you can barely hold your bladder. You wonder if he chose to bring you there as a child.
You've already passed your first trial. You managed to reach me. Now, let's test your intellect. An ogre kidnaps a princess, and a knight runs to save her. The ogre shows the knight 2 doors. One hides the princess, the other hides a starving tiger. The door on the left has a sign that reads, "Behind this door lies the tiger." A sign on the right door reads, "The princess is behind a door." Only one of the signs is true, the ogre adds. Where is the princess? Think wisely before you answer, or I will eat you.
You hate riddles, but you're sure you won't get out of this nightmare alive if you don't answer correctly.
The princess is in the left door. The other sign, "The princess is behind a door," is most definitely true. Therefore, the other one is false.
The abomination mumbles hoarsely. The trunk-shaped arm drops to the ground as if it were cut off, but there's no blood.
Very well, Leon, but I'm not done just yet. Let's continue with the next riddle. A crossroads leads to 2 different villages. The inhabitants of one speak only the truth. The inhabitants of the other can only lie. A wayfarer wants to visit the village of truth and stops a passerby. What question should he ask to know exactly where he needs to go? Think wisely before you answer, or I will eat you.
This keeps getting harder. The chimera loves debates on truths and falsehoods. You have several answers to pick from, but only one is correct.
Your answer is correct,
says the abomination, while the other arm falls to the ground with a thud. You smile, certain you've passed the test. How could he capture you now, without arms?
Let's continue.
In a cold sweat, you wonder how many more riddles you must answer.
Answer me this, Leon. A king decides to offer a large sum of money to any subject who can tell him a clever lie. Hundreds of people parade to the king. Someone says he's been to the moon, while others claim to be able to walk through fire without burning. But the king is not amused. Finally, the poorest farmer steps up, and after hearing him, the king awards him the prize. What did the farmer say?
You're in a tough spot once again. You need the riddles to tear the monster to pieces, mostly because you're disarmed, and you don't think magic could be the solution to your problems. You have only one way out. What will you tell the abomination?
Congratulations, Leon. Yet another correct answer. As a matter of fact, if the king admits the farmer's lying, he must give him the money. If he accepts it as the truth, you must still give him money.
The monster's torso drops to the ground, detaching from the rest of the body. The head continues to levitate. Even the legs don't move. Judging by the looks of it, you still have 3 riddles left. You need to stay focused.
Let's proceed to our next enigma. There are only 2 hairdressers in the leprechaun's town, Sage and Bilberry. Sage owns a wonderful saloon. She offers her clients amazing chocolates and always sports great haircuts. Bilberry, on the other hand, has awful haircuts. Her saloon is messy, and even though she doesn't smoke, her ashtray is always burning. Who would you choose to cut your hair for the Flowers Festival?
It looks like this time the answer is obvious. You only have 2 options and good chances to succeed.
Bilberry, for 2 reasons. First, the ashtray is always full. If she doesn't smoke, it means many leprechauns visit the saloon. Second, if there are only 2 hairdressers, it means Sage cuts Bilberry's hair and vice versa. If Bilberry's haircuts are bad, it means Sage is a poor hairdresser. So I'd be better off going to Bilberry's saloon.
Even though the creature no longer has hands, he applauds your answer, laughing enjoyably. He's having fun, despite the fact you're literally tearing him to pieces.
Good job, Leon. Now I only have 1 leg left. Let's move on to my next question. You have 50 anemones, 50 edelweiss, and 2 wicker baskets. You need to separate them so that when picking 1 flower from each basket, you have the highest odds of taking 2 anemones. How will you split them?
Mathematics was a fundamental subject at Balinor, but you've never loved it.
Take all the time you need,
Says the abomination, smacking his lips. He's already tasting his meal.
I'll put just 1 anemone in a basket and all other flowers in the other. This way, I'm sure I'll take the right flower from 1 basket and I'll have almost a 50% chance from the other.
You reply proudly. With another moan by the being, the second leg disappears. Only the head remains, and it keeps smiling.
Great. Now for the final riddle. Answer this last one correctly, and we shall never meet again. You'll be worthy to use your powers as best you see fit. Be very careful, or your life will be mine. A talking cat declares, all talking cats are liars. Does he speak the truth, or is he lying?
Again with truth and lies. However, this time it's a question of wits. You've come this far. You can't give up now.
The way the enigma has been expressed, it's impossible to say.
You tell the abomination. Suddenly, his head disappears. A hole instantly appears in the wall you're facing, and a dazzling light from within blinds you. Without any ado, you walk through it, delighted by the end of this nightmare. However, as you exit on the other side, hoping to wake up, you find something unexpected.
Hello, Leon. It's good to see you again.
Your heart skips a beat. The woman is beautiful and young. Her slim body and her seductive curves take your breath away. The woman's mane, unmistakable and white as snow, contrasts the freshness of her face.
Asperia.
You whisper. You run to her, and you both hug tight. You've longed for her so much, looking for her maternal gestures, which nobody was able to give you. You grew up an orphan. She was the only one together with Daragast and Raymond, who stood by you. You lost her all too soon. Asperia stood up against Triumvar Lotanor's fury.
You're just like how I remembered you.
You whisper, as tears run down both your faces.
I couldn't say the same about you, Leon.
She replies, drying her face.
Changed, and not how I would have hoped.
Her voice is disappointed.
You've become just like Triumvar, if not worse. We fought to protect you from his madness. I gave my life for you. Is this how you repay me? Trying to subdue other peoples? Using magic for your own gain rather than good?
I just want to take back what's mine. Satrapur is my home, my land.
And what are you doing now? You fought Raymond, conquered cities among cries and blood, and still you are not satisfied. I need to stop you.
Asperia's words deeply hurt you. But you have no time for self-pity. She attacks immediately, summoning an earth elemental, her dominating element. It's solid and massive, a fearsome foe. However, you have a huge advantage. You can use all 4 elements. Only one is fit to oppose Earth. You summon an air elemental. Asperia's creature is too massive and solid to oppose another element. Another earth elemental surely wouldn't be powerful enough to beat it. She specializes in earth magic, and you wouldn't have stood a chance. On the other hand, an air elemental might consume and annihilate the rocky creature. The two monsters fight a fierce battle, but ultimately, air prevails. A whirlwind destroys the opposing elemental, scattering pieces of Asperia's conjuring all over. As the battle comes to an end, you lose control of your creature, which attacks the witch. Air blades tear her to pieces, and finally, it dissolves.
I'm sorry, Asperia.
Tears stream down your cheeks, but your determination doesn't falter. Suddenly, everything becomes dark. A white door appears in the sea of darkness. You strain to stand up and walk through it. You wake up with a start in your bed. The sheets are drenched in your sweat. Your bones hurt, but you try to get up anyway. The sunlight filters through the windows, welcoming you to a new day. Judging by the looks of it, you think it might already be late in the morning, and you have many things to attend to. Your real journey to your destiny is about to start. You call upon the servants and order them to draw you a warm bath and prepare some clean clothes. When you're done, you wield your sword and your staff. As you're about to leave the palace, a roar vibrates the air outside, causing a chorus of outcries by the city's inhabitants. You quickly figure out what is happening and establish a mental connection to your dragon. This psychic bond you have with the creature allows you to see through its eyes, as well as perceive its thoughts and bend the creature's will. As you move to leave the palace, you order the guards not to harm your powerful ally. Once outside, you look up, uninterested in the panicking people in the streets. You command the creature to land in the square in front of the palace's entrance. The dragon replies, growling loudly, complying with your wish, landing in front of you with a loud thud. The dragon's eyes are lively and ravenous, but it bows down its head to you, so low its snout touches the ground, whining like a puppy waiting to be petted. You approach your pet as the bystanders stare at you in silent awe and reach out to caress the creature's nose. It has been too long, my friend, you whisper. The tension is eased, but many people are still skeptical and afraid, despite your actions. And after all, dragons are still among the most dangerous and feared creatures in the world. And you doubt any of your subjects have ever seen one before. They haven't been around since Triumvar Lotanor's time. It's time to leave. My fate is at the horizon. You confess to the dragon as it enjoys your attention. You walk around the beast's head and jump on its neck. Everyone is in shock, staring slack-jawed at a scene nobody thought possible. Fly, you order the beast. The reptile replies to your command with a cry of joy. With a mighty push of its paws, the creature leaps into the air, spreading its wings and heading to the horizon. As you're flying, you try to savor the amazing feeling. Sitting on the dragon's back, hundreds of feet high in the sky, it's liberating, unique, and priceless. You focus on the goal at hand. You have to annihilate the resistance, smoke them out, and make sure they can never gain back some power against you. You don't intend to completely destroy the forest. You know your man, and Kalimo, may already be in there, and you wouldn't want to risk losing him. You haven't heard from him since he left, but could just be busy with the missions you have entrusted to him. You hope you'll find him in Remagast when you return. Therefore, you decide to catch the Resistance's attention without destroying the whole forest. Ordering the dragon to breathe its fire at the border. The reptile complies with your command, first aiming at the west border, and then at the east. This way, you'll be able to spot the rebels as they're fleeing, attacking them mercilessly. It doesn't take long before people start running out of the woods. Most of them seem to be headed southeast, while another group leaves from the northeast, heading towards you. Many of them are armed with staves, and you recognize several wizards. But you can't find Raymond, who might be with the first group. The two spots are several miles apart. Attacking one of the groups would most likely allow the other to escape. You're here to crush their hopes. You need to choose who to attack. The fugitives headed southeast, or the closest group, made up mostly of wizards. Facing Raymond now is too dangerous. Besides, you have the chance to take out several wizards, which would greatly diminish the Resistance's forces. You can count 4 of them, probably 1 per element. You need to consider carefully how you'll tackle this, given you'll probably be exhausted by your 3rd spell. You identify their robes and their peculiarities. You have the chance to move swiftly, deciding who to attack first. They've just ran out of the woods and don't seem ready to face a dragon and its rider. Wit is necessary to face all 4 elements. Casting a spell from your dragon would truly be ideal. However, you must be clever. You need to start from the element most dangerous to you. Who will you attack first? You conjure an earth spell, murmuring a few arcane words of power. You make the ground quake under the white-clad air wizard's feet. The man is gripped as if standing in quicksand. His movements are impaired. Your spell is much faster than the natural phenomenon it's mimicking, though, and in mere seconds, the wizard is sucked into the ground. However, the other 3 sorcerers jump back to avoid the trap. The fire wizard is the quickest. He unleashes a flame from his staff, which heads straight to you. That was a predictable move. You can simply respond with a stronger spell and destroy it. That was obviously the right call. You're the most powerful wizard Kael'Sanar has ever seen, and your water cone puts out the fire and the wizard who conjured it. Now, you can focus on your next move against the Water Wizard. What shall you do? You order the dragon to breathe its flames against the Water Wizard, who's wearing a blue waving robe. He tries to shield himself with a water barrier, but he's blown away in a single shot. Your move was smart. It allowed you to cast a tornado against the only wizard left standing, the brown-clad Earth Wizard. The cyclone lifts him up high in the air, hurling him away as he screams hundreds of feet high. As he drops back to the ground, you can hear his bones breaking even from your seat on the dragon's back. You can finally take a look at the southeast quadrant, but the fugitives are already gone, most likely together with Raymond. You spur the dragon in that direction, but there's nothing to see for hundreds of feet. Besides, the last spell wore you out. Are they hiding somewhere? Did they take a secret passage running through the hills? You decide you'll find out when you'll attack Satrapor. You've damaged the resistance enough for today, and you couldn't proceed with your attacks anyway. It's time to head back to Remegast to wait for Ankalimo's return. You've come back to celebrate your victory. The soldiers raise their spears to the sky, chanting your name. Amongst feasts, songs, and dances, the celebrations continue for a few days. Now, you have to wait for Ankalimo. You trust him. He shall certainly bear good news and will have carried out the tasks you assigned him. It's been more than a month now. It's time to move on Satrapor. Finally, Ankalimo comes back with 2 men, who you presume are worthy of his trust. You are in the throne room, and the 3 bow down to you respectfully. Welcome back, my friend. You welcome him with a smile.
Thank you, Leon. It was hard, but I hope you'll find I've served you with honor.
I'm sure you have. Rise. Ankalimo goes on to introduce the 2.
These are Sargon and Garrett. I chose them to lead the army. They're strong, reliable, and precise. They are extremely experienced and will follow your orders to the detail, if well paid.
So, they're mercenaries. But they stood out in Ankalimo's eyes. Good. Now, leave us. I'll call for you later, and we'll talk tactics and preparations. Ankalimo, you stay. The 2 bow down and oblige. Your friend's face suddenly clouds. Something didn't go according to plan. You can ask him about the resistance, or about the search for the Sword of Ruin. Where is the Sword of Ruin?
I couldn't find it,
Replies the assassin.
I thought I did, but it was a fake.
Ankalimo follows. We'll have to do without. Retrieving it was the hardest of the tasks I assigned you. I'm not mad.
I'm sorry, Leon.
You dismiss the issue with a gesture. Anything else?
No, Leon.
What news do you have of the Resistance?
I managed to infiltrate them, but I had to abandon the mission. They are a lot. Some of them wizards, and Raymond is set on taking you down. But they have some internal struggles that could play out in our favor.
What do you mean?
I met someone who hates wizards, you included. He's killing all the sorcerers in the Resistance, and will weaken them.
Anything else?
No, Leon.
All right, you're free to go. Call for Sargon and then Garrett. I'd like to confer with them individually.
As you wish.
And Kalimo beats his fist to the chest and leaves the throne room. A few moments later, Sargon walks in. He has an imposing physique. He must be a formidable warrior. You study him, appeased by Kalimo's choice. You would like to know more about him. What's your first question? How will you train the soldiers? Sargon looks straight into your eyes and replies,
First of all, I'll teach them discipline and mindfulness. You can't master a weapon if you can't master your mind. Physical training is important, of course, but the two things go hand in hand. Besides, mastering the sword requires a lot of study.
You smile, as you are already well acquainted with swordsman's training. You find his answer satisfying and move on to the next. Should you ask him how many men he has commanded, or how he will face the battle?
We shall fight in the most honorable way, but we will crush the enemy without hesitation.
His combat philosophy is interesting. He reminds you a bit of Daragast. You have one last question. How would you handle an enemy who's yielded, or whom you've already defeated on the field?
If he yields, he will be taken prisoner. I shall judge his crimes, also based on the prisoner's rank. I wouldn't sentence someone to death just because he was my opponent on the battlefield. Unless my lord prefers differently, of course.
Good, Sargon. You've convinced me. Now, send Garrett in. The commander bows down once more and beats his fist on his chest.
As you wish, my lord.
Now it's Garrett's turn. He's a man who inspires respect, and he has the authoritative attitude of one who's used to commanding. Welcome, Garrett.
Thank you, my lord. How can I be of help?
Straight to the point, as you expected. You begin your questioning right away.
Iron discipline and lashing should they not follow orders.
Garrett replies. You wouldn't have expected this answer from a man like him. You find his answer satisfying and move on to the next. Should you ask him how many men he has commanded, or how he will face the battle?
Enemies must be crushed and overwhelmed, my lord. Better if on the field. It would be a show of force to whoever might oppose you in the future. They would shiver at the mere sight of your army.
His combat's philosophy seems efficient enough. How would you handle an enemy who's yielded, or whom you've already defeated on the field?
I would follow my lord's orders.
He continues, shrugging. He's a true and proper war machine. No hesitating allowed. You like him. Good, Garrett. This should be enough. Now, leave. I'll call for you later. The commander bows down once more and beats his fist on his chest.
As you wish, my lord.
You sit alone in your throne room to think. You're pleased. Both Sargon and Garrett will be great commanders. You summon them once more, this time together. What do you think of Kalimo, and of what lies ahead? Garrett speaks first. As you imagined, he's more practical.
Your assassin is precise and lethal. If he chose to serve you, that means he sees you as a great leader. We trust him.
It's not mere ass-kissing. It's a show of respect. Here's my proposal. You shall have 100,000 gold coins each. The two mercenaries pale. They didn't expect this much.
My lord, we accept. Our word is our bond.
Garrett replies. I'm sure. Now, you must plan your march on Satrapur. Finally, the time you've been waiting for so long has come. You waited and planned. Now, you must act. And you will do that with all your wisdom. You've planned out the march to Satrapur in every minor detail. But you won't be leading the army yourself. You will leave this burden to the commanders and their capable hands. After all, you've chosen them because they should be able to carry out the tasks you assign them. You have to make some important decisions regarding the army's march, namely, the siege weapons that must be built and the equipment the troops should carry. It looks like a simple task, but it really isn't. Besides, you decided you'll be handling the provisioning yourself, so you'll have to send convoys to the allied cities. You head to the city's smithy where the blacksmiths are hard at work forging the weapons for the soldiers. But they shall also create some additional items of your choosing to correctly equip the troops. Setting aside the normal material, you need to understand what needs an en masse troop march might have. While the provisioning will also be supplied by the allied cities, you will be providing several tools directly. You have to keep in mind that all soldiers will bring with them the things you'll commission now, in addition to the armor and weapons. Remember that not everyone has horses to rely on, and that there aren't enough wagons to load the extra material. You stop by the blacksmith and are greeted with reverence by him and his subordinates. As you enter, the workers stop briefly. Please continue. I only need to speak with your boss. The man leaves the workers temporarily, following you out of the smithy.
I'm at your command, my lord.
I need you to build some portable rams for my army, one per soldier. Should they raid some village, it'd be useful for them to have something to tear down the doors of anyone who opposes our army.
As you wish, my lord. Is there anything else I can do?
You quickly think about how you're about to lay siege to a fortress, so you could probably use some more material to load on the wagons. It depends on how you'll want to attack the walls and on the strategy that will be adopted for the attack. I need you to build several hooks for my soldiers. They need to be tough enough to allow them to easily climb over walls, as well as for being tied to thick and sturdy ropes.
As you wish, my lord.
How long will it take? You ask impatiently.
A few days, my lord. We won't let you down.
I hope you're right. You tell him while taking your leave, heading to the master builders to manage the second part of your siege strategy. Once out of the smithy, you head to the master builder, who is working hard on several siege engines. The basic tools are normally built in bulk, but other things must be taken care of along the way. As a matter of fact, some of the builders and some of the blacksmiths will go along with the army in case of any last-minute needs. Now, you have to prioritize. There are many machines that can be built, and they will be the real issue for the soldiers, as their safe transportation will be crucial. As you talk privately with the master builder, you try to focus on what you'll need the most. First of all, you can only take one type of machine with you, so you have to choose between ballistas and catapults. There is no time to build both, and most importantly, you don't have enough resources. So, you must choose which siege engine to rely on. You must build several catapults. There must be enough to lay siege to Satrapur, accounting for the several breakages along the way. Can you do it?
Of course, my lord. It will take a while and many people to do everything, but we'll manage. Is there anything else?
Actually, you could use something else. Would you like to have the Master Builder also create some siege towers or ladders to climb up the walls of Satrapur? You'll have to build several thousand ladders for the siege. They must be high enough to get on top of the walls, with sturdy support so they don't break as soldiers climb. Also, they must be maneuverable. Make as many as you can. I would account for a good number of them to break along the way and during the battle.
We won't let you down, my lord,
replies the Master Builder. Now, get back to work. I have other business to attend to. You head back to the palace, where you shut yourself in your lavish and silent chambers. Sitting at the desk, you start writing several dispatches. You need to start preparing the provisioning and the supplies. The supply line has to be perfect. The missives you're writing will be entrusted to messengers who will take them to the allied cities, so that the orders will have been received before the army even marches out. Everyone must be ready to support you for this war. You outline a series of joined supply chains that will come in from other cities. As there is no sea nearby along the route, you won't have a naval chain. Luckily, most of the march won't take place in a hostile environment, so there is little chance that rebel forces will get in your way. Finally, you send off the dispatches so that the convoys will be ready by the time your army marches out. You almost didn't notice how stressed out you are. The tension is visible even on your face. You'd like everything to go as planned, but first, you want the army to leave without you. You'll catch up with them later on, after you're sure everything is working out. You send for a couple of courtesans to be brought to your room to entertain your manly needs for the rest of the day. Soon your vengeance shall be complete, but you don't like to see it as revenge. You prefer to think of it as justice. This is for everything that's been taken from you when you were a child, and for the people who died because of it, like Asperia, your mentor, who mothered you. There's even Daragast, the man who taught you so much, only to disappear, grieving for the loss of his beloved. How could you blame him? Where is he now? Would he have joined you if you had found him? There are too many questions left unanswered. Finally, you will get the chance to settle all your scores. Your thoughts are suddenly interrupted by a light knocking on the door. You invite into your room the two wonderful ladies on the threshold. There, you consider bitterly. They really took everything from me. Even the ability to court a woman. There's only courtesans and whores for me. After spending most of the night with the two prostitutes, you dismiss them and try to get some sleep. You leave the curtains open, letting the dim moonlight filter through the room. You fall asleep relaxed, untroubled by the upcoming battle. Almost 2 weeks pass by. You summon your generals, instructing them on the march south. The resistance is probably preparing as well, but you've received some comforting news from your allies. Everything is ready, both regarding the supply line and the march on Satrapur. You climb on your dragon's back and fly off. As the troops will march, you shall monitor the situation from above. You trust your two new generals. The first few days are slow and uneventful. Finally, you reach a clearing, right before the Ismaran forest. From your position, you spotted the legions of the resistance. They're ready to block your way. Even your scouts confirm the enemy's presence. You have no idea who is guiding them, but it's of no consequence. You're about to deal the resistance a hard blow. You glide down to arrange the battle. You're in an open field and must confer with the scouts. You have to harshly defeat these enemies. Nobody can stand between you and Satrapur. What information do you find most important? How are their units arranged?
They have foot soldiers, archers, and cavalry, including some strange fiends,
Says the tallest scout. What fiends?
huge four-legged creatures. They could be gray storms.
The man continues. Very well. I have something special for them.
Of course, my lord.
How many people are in the welcome party? You caustically ask.
It looks about 2,000, my lord.
Replies the thinnest of the two scouts. We have 10 times their men. We'll crush them.
They have no escape, my lord.
Replies the other. Now, you must issue your orders to your generals. You need to consider the information you've gathered and the units you'll attack yourself. I shall take care of the archers, while you deal with the cavalry and foot soldiers. Our troops shall form compact and tight deployments, but first, our archers must attack the enemy forces. The cavalry will attack the flanks to cut any escape.
As you wish, my lord.
Both generals sound in unison. Both then take their place and start issuing commands. Once you've identified your victims, you're ready to unleash hell on Earth. You jump back up on your dragon's back and fly over your enemies. The creature roars fiercely from above. You wait for your army to take its position while studying the opponents as they line up. You won't allow them to finish their deployment. You spur your dragon and attack the archers. The creature starts breathing fire upon your command on the bowmen, who try to fly their arrows all at you in vain. As panic spreads through their ranks, anguished cries rise up to the sky. It only took one well-thought strike with your dragon to destroy a large part of the opponent's army. You head back to the rear of your army's formation to watch the battle from a privileged position. This battle will show our strength and preparation. You shall systematically deal with the 3 units attacking us, wiping all of them out. Our troops shall form compact and tight deployments, but first, our archers must attack the enemy forces. The cavalry will attack the flanks to cut off any escape.
As you wish, my lord.
Both generals sound in unison. Both then take their place and start issuing commands. They're well organized and know their way around the army. You have no need to intervene. Your army is a perfect war machine. Suddenly, cries of anguish start resounding among your men's ranks. A pack of large animals is tearing your troops apart. You have no choice but to take down the Grey Storms before they inflict even more losses. You've underestimated the strength of the creatures. Now, you need to make up for your mistake. You spur your dragon against the mighty creatures. You need to hurry. The Grey Storms are wreaking havoc among your lines. Flying over them, you order your dragon to breathe its fire on them and their knights. You soon have the best of them. However, you notice an outstanding sylph on one of the rides who calls the retreat. You scared your enemies away, decimating their numbers. You let them run, enjoying their defeat. Now, they know you have a dragon, and even though they'll try to prepare to face it, they will never be able to oppose its power. After many hardships and long travel, you finally reach Satrapur. Even though you're fully rested, you know you should avoid wasting spells. It's likely you'll face some formidable foes. You start issuing your commands to the troops, finally letting the generals do the rest of the work. Preparing for the siege, you're sure the city gates must have been closed, shut already. Setting up the siege engines, readying the camp, and receiving the supplies will take all day. Your enemies will have time to make their arrangements, but so will you. Your scouts keep patrolling the perimeter to avoid any nightly sortie from the city. Your assault will start at dawn. You wake up just before daybreak and head to your dragon, still in deep slumber. Its heavy breathing and constant deep rumbling make it a fearsome creature, even now. Caressing its snout, the creature wakes up. You can feel its thoughts, thanks to your bond. You've learned to get along, but the reptile is not happy being subdued. It's of little importance to you. You're still pleased by the power you exercise over the animal. You even took care to let the city know of your pet, flying over the army as you approached it. The time has come, my friend. The dragon bends down his neck, and you climb on his back, wielding your sword and staff. Finally, you fly over Satrapur at first light. Your commanders are restless. The army starts marching, and the archers take their positions beside the siege weapons as you admire everything from above. Flaming arrows start flying from both sides, taking souls. The battle cries rise up to your ears as your blood boils. Should you jump into the action with your dragon right now, or wait for the first outbreaks to tire? You're too eager to jump into action. You order your ride to glide down over the city walls as it breathes fire on your enemies. The archers try to loose many arrows at you, to no avail. Your next target will be the Resistance's leader. Will you fly over the defenses again, looking for the rebels' head, or will you move inside to wreak chaos among the civilians? Turning the dragon, you head back for the walls. For a brief moment, you look into the eyes of the man you're about to attack. Recognizing Daragast, though, you hesitate. In this fleeting moment, he recognizes you too. You could kill him here and now, but part of you wouldn't want to end him like this. Will you strike or attack another unit? He's too good a warrior to let him live, even though he was your mentor. You have to be quick, too.
So you issue the dragon your command. The creature's fire engulfs him. But then something unexpected happens. Daragast raises his rapier, which absorbs the flames through the ruby set in the hilt. A flurry of arrows rains down on you, piercing the fiend's wings. Trying to break free of the attack, you order the reptile to fly up, but it's useless. After beating its wings a few times, it falls to a city square. Roll to the ground, caked in debris and dragon blood. Standing up, you can only hear the uproar surrounding you. Soldiers are swarming your way. You're outnumbered and hurt, but you can still defend yourself as your ally groans painfully. You could summon an elemental, which would certainly buy you enough time for another spell, or you could conjure a ring of fire around you to block the enemy's sight. Beating your staff to the ground, you conjure a ring of fire. Your magic is imposing. The flames rise to the roofs, catching all the soldiers' attention, distracting them from the walls. As you're getting ready to strike again, the soldiers' yells suddenly stop, and your flaming wall grows weaker until it vanishes. As the smoke clears and the silence grows louder, you spot a rapier-wielding figure headed your way. A man's confident stride gives away his identity. It's time for the reckoning. Daragast, your old mentor, stands before you. He saved you from Triumvar, together with Asperia, and in a way shaped you into what you are today. You stare into each other's eyes. Your feelings are somewhat mixed now. It's time to settle all your scores now. Daragast's main goal in life has always been to find an opponent strong enough to defeat him in a duel. Maybe his time has finally come. Your old friend is wielding 2 rapiers, so you unsheathe your sword and wield your staff. I see you found my old rapier! You shout at him.
It was meant for you, but I had to wield it against Triumvar and Ryator San to save you. And now, I'm wielding it against you.
Daragast replies, "Well, aren't you proud?" Daragast shakes his head bitterly.
I would have rather been proud of you. Stop this madness. Order your men to retreat. You have a huge power. Use it to bring peace.
Take a look around, Daragast! This city is mine by birthright! It was taken from me! I had to flee to avoid being killed with my parents! Now, I am taking it back, and even you won't stop me!
You're determined. And the words of your old mentor cut through deeper than any blade.
There's no choice then. We have to fight.
Daragast prepares for the fight as you both assume fighting stances. You look at each other carefully, trying to spot any weaknesses. It seems like Daragast is letting you have the first move. You have to seize this opportunity. Will you attack him using your magic, or would you rather fight him with weapons? You attack him with all your might, using both your sword and rotating your staff. Daragast is the best fighter in Kael'Sanar. Defeating him won't be easy. You barely scratch his arm and force him to lower his guard. It's time to use a spell. What element should you rely on? The heat of the battle led you into making a mistake. But this doesn't mean you won't win this match.
One of the stones set on the sword's hilt absorbs your spell, and Daragast springs on you to attack once more, despite his wound. He slashes down at you with the Sword of Ruin as he carries a weaker middle blow with his rapier. You have to parry the Sword of Ruin. Will you do so with your staff, or will you use your blade? You chose wisely. The rapier clashes against the steel, and you wiggle out of the attacks. There's no time to be wasted in this titanic fight. You have to choose your next move right away. You could pirouette, rotating your staff to strike your opponent at the head, or to disarm him of the rapier. You bring forth your attack, worthy of a swordmaster. The staff disarms Daragast of his rapier, leaving him wielding just the Sword of Ruin. You have the lead now. You need to take advantage of this moment. Your opponent is forced into a defensive stance. You have to be relentless. Should you use a spell to blind him, or would you rather press him on with a series of fast-paced blows? It's time to finish him, so you press him on with lightning-fast staff and sword assaults. Daragast is forced to back out. His breathing is heavy. You're wearing him out. Finally, he loses his grip on the Sword of Ruin, dropping it to the floor. For a moment, you exchange glances. It doesn't last long, but it's enough for you to decide what to do next. You have too big an advantage to waste it. Quickly, you beat your staff on the ground, pronouncing one single arcane word of power. The air condenses into 3 blades which mill against Daragast. The fighter tries to parry your enchantment, but it's too fast. The 3 air blades overwhelm him, tearing him to pieces. Your old mentor collapses to the ground, defeated, dead. You'd like to rejoice, but you faint and drop to the ground as well. Your 3rd enchantment exhausted you. Will you regain your strength before being captured? How will the siege proceed? One last thought goes to your faithful friend, Ankalimo. He gave his life for your cause. You order a statue to be made and placed in Satrapor's main square to honor his memory. It shall be a testimony to the darkness and virtues that live within the human soul. Something awakens your senses, and you slowly stand up. You haven't yet recovered your strengths, nor your magical powers. However, you have defeated your opponent, and you're alive. The battle rages on around you, amidst shouts, smoke, and clashing blades. You grab your sword, coughing. The staff won't do any good now. You have to find out how the battle is proceeding and how your men are faring. As you're heading to the bastions, you run into Ankalimo, your faithful friend.
Leon, you're alive!
You exchange a warrior's handshake and hug. I've got a tough skin. How's the battle proceeding? You ask the elf. As your friend is about to answer, a loud blast and the clashing of steel overcome his words. Your men crushed the city's defenses and are overwhelming the enemy. You join the battle, boosting the courage and morale of your soldiers. Within a few hours, you arise, the master of Satrapor. The city shows its scars of war. Columns of smoke rise to the sky. The situation doesn't seem too dire to you, though, as you walk through the hallways of a familiar palace, one you've been away from for so long. as you saw the chambers that belonged to your parents. You couldn't help but shed a few tears. Boots echo in the silence of the palace as you summon your trusted commanders and Ankalimo to the throne room. It's time to decide what is to come next. Your messengers are waiting to dispatch your will. Do you want to rule all of Kael'Sanar, or just keep your birth town? Satrapor has always been your target, but letting go of the power you've acquired isn't easy. Dispatch my message to all the kingdoms. I have no intention to rule over them. Satrapor is my one and only home. I won't wage war against anyone else. From now on, there shall be only peace and prosperity. The scribes draft your announcement, and Ankalimo leans in to whisper into your ear.
What shall be done of the king we deposed?
This is another thorny issue. You could exile him. You got what you wanted. You have no reason to execute him. However, if you were to show weakness now, especially before an assassin like your elf friend, it could be dangerous. What are you going to do? Ban him to the cold desert of Laganasan. You spend the next several hours on your throne, solving other issues, but at peace with yourself. You retrieved what was rightfully yours, and the Kael'Sanar is at peace once again. You are no longer a fearsome despot. Now, you long to become a beacon of hope to all the world. You're ready for a new life. You'll become the man Daragast, and most important, Asperia wanted you to be.